All right.
Hello there, Silverline family. Welcome to Show on Tuesday.
Good.
We got the full crew tonight. And I guess the start of the show, if you're one of our Silverline family out in Europe, we hope you and your family are safe at the moment.
Yeah.
We know we got a couple of you out there. But we're going to get into tonight's show. Tonight we'll be talking about tools for communication and building the comic super team. So I'd say most team projects, outings, what have you, success is 90% communication. So we're going to be getting into how that works into comics. Or, if you're that one person, success is everyone on the team giving you their stuff and not touching it while you plow through it all.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about communication tools in the comics world. But my camera just reset itself. That's super fun.
We don't really need to see you. I mean,
yeah, I don't. That's new. Let me change the USB port on that, I guess.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't look to see Tim. I look to see the awesome books Tim has behind him.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm mostly a library.
That's right.
I'm gonna step away for a second, but we'll start it off with our usual icebreaker. Aaron, what have you been reading, watching, playing, listening to this week?
Still playing Neo because that game's like forever. It just goes and goes and goes. There's a ton of it. Reading some independent comics. Finished reading a book called Edge of the Sword. That's an independent comic that was really good. As far as watching anything, not really. Yeah, I haven't really been watching anything. I think I started watching last night that Pam and Tommy show on Hulu because I was old enough to remember that.
Oh yeah.
Right. I don't know. I'm kind of creeped out by Seth Rogen with no beard.
He looks definitely weird. That's for sure. Interesting. I mean, it's not like they've not had that happen to people, but it was the first time I think that was released on the internet. Something like that was released on the internet.
Yeah.
To that claim. So, yeah. I just don't think anybody at the time thought about that. Like, I mean, well, you could, release things to people
before the internet. Like it was released as a VHS. I thought, like even before, like it hit
I'm still not done watching it. I thought it was, excuse me, I thought it was 2, but I know they released on the internet, and that's what even if they wanted to, they couldn't take it off.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's on the internet, it's disseminated, and I think that was kind of one of the first times where it was like, well, even if you wanted to get it off the internet or get rid of it, you can't. I mean, it's out there forever because it's been passed around and stuff.
Yeah, they actually have firms now that celebrities hire that go and clean up their internet persona and hide things that need to be hidden. And they didn't have that back then.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like, Pam didn't star in Playboy or anything, but it was just that sort of violation of privacy that, happened. And it was like, there was nothing. I mean, even if you sue the gentleman, there's nothing you can technically do. You can't get rid of it. And so that was kind of, which was so weird that when they started hacking accounts, you think celebrities would have learned their lesson, but then they started hacking accounts, people started posting stuff online again. I'm like, you guys are not really learning your lesson here, are you?
Yeah,
well, I tell you, go ahead.
Saying that's why you need to hire a offensive technology expert to test your profiles, test your exposure on the internet, and make sure that you're not, liable to get hit by one of those things.
So what Tim is saying is, if you would like to have his services,
that's right.
Open 24 hours a day, and he'll get that done for you.
Yeah, I have a Proton Mail account. I don't give it out, but you can request services there.
I will look at all the raunchy videos I can and determine what are acceptable for the internet or not. My source.
Yeah, no, that's. I just have Aaron peruse several questionable websites and then send me stuff that
I'll be in shock. What did you send me, Tim? Oh my! What is this?
Yep.
I think it's funny though, because anytime you take pictures of anything, come on, guys. Even when I was growing up, when I was in high school, there would be pictures of girls go around and stuff.
Oh yeah,
It's an age-old thing, and then it went to phones. As soon as people started being able to take, pictures on their phones, then there was that, and you had to it's been a real big deal for young girls who just, they don't, they're just young and they don't understand, hey, one day you're going to try to go get a job and this is going to show up,
right.
Stuff like that, I mean,
hopefully by then, it won't, people will say like, okay, that was high school. Like, won't hold that against them, especially if
right, of
did
course,
that to them.
of course, I mean, because we all get into some pretty crazy stuff, some more than others. Jose,
listen, those videos were fake.
Yeah,
that was superimposed.
Yep. Or just go ahead and learn Python yourself and learn how to chase your own account so you can delete stuff yourself.
Or hire Tim.
Or hire Tim.
Yes. But I am a proponent of the go hack yourself movement, though. Learn how to hack your own account so you can figure out what you need to get taken down.
Or just, I know this is a radical idea. Just don't put stuff in the internet that you don't want.
Yeah, man. Don't be taking pictures of stuff you shouldn't be taking pictures of, and taking video of stuff you don't want out.
Yeah, use your cell phones to expose war crimes, not yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, take pictures of other people.
Yeah.
By war crimes, you mean a not symmetrical McDonald's sandwich, right?
Yes.
I hate it when that happens.
I'm telling you.
I still remember I was at Chipotle once and I was sitting there checking out. Some guy came up and complained to the person at the counter that his friend's burrito was bigger than his. And I'm just in like, yeah, because he put more stuff in it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you there, Chief. But it was just funny. Like, he was actually serious. Like, why is his burrito bigger? How do you say that? I'm like, we don't measure it.
Yeah, no. Just ask them to add the growth equivalent of in black bean or whatever you got.
Yeah, or something. It was.
All right. Well, Aaron, if that's been what you've been up to.
I know it's exciting. I just been playing Neo a lot. I've been actually working on my comic, and I'm still working. I'm putting my volumes together into one book. So I did the cover for that. So I've been and then working on the obsoletes. So
cool.
Hey, me too.
You've been working on that? You've heard of that book? Apparently, it's supposed to be a winner of a book.
Yeah. All right. Jose, what have you been up to this week?
So, I actually watched, and it's only one season on Amazon Prime, but I watched Utopia. If you've ever watched Utopia, you'll know why it only lasted one season. And I think it's because the government took it off the web.
What was Utopia about? That sounds... Isn't that an older show?
So it was an older show, like a British show, like from 2015, 2018 or something like that. And then it was remade in American version in 2020, right? It's about these comic book fans that are like hardcore fanatics about a particular comic book that depicted or preempted things that happened in like government and like crap like that, like explosions and wars and stuff like that. And you have to read signs into it. And then so now they've discovered Utopia, the conclusion to dystopia, and it's giving like clues of what's about to happen. And then it has to deal with like a virus that starts to spread in different locations. And I won't give away anything else past that, other than like they're working to try and get the government to release the vaccine and crap, all kinds of stuff.
It sounds like a comic book version of a Q drop.
It's interesting, and I feel that people probably got black bagged because of it.
Interesting. Yeah, that's it. Did any of you guys watch was it Vox Machina?
Vox Machina?
Vox Machina?
No, I have it queued up. I need to go. I'm waiting for it to end so I can go through and watch it all at once.
So it's ended,
yes.
right? The first season is over. I've already watched it like 5 times.
Is it good? Okay, because it looks pretty funny, so I have to check it out.
It's funny. Like I definitely don't watch it around kids, right? Like I should say that it's definitely an adult cartoon, adult animated series, right? But it is literally when I used to run Dungeons and Dragons back in my youngin days, it is literally my friends.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm not the only person to say that. I know where it comes from. I know where it derives from, the Critical Role people and whatnot. Yeah, right? Yeah. And I've seen almost all their stuff. So, like, knowing that and like, watching them, their live stream of their game, and then realizing, holy cow, my friends are just as dorky as these guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they make a living from it. Where were we thinking back then? Like, why didn't we think of something like that? Yeah. So, like, knowing that and you're going into it, like, saying, like, hey, listen, it's just fun, except it's fun. And it is. It's whole. There's parts of it that are hilarious. There's parts of it that are serious. You know, where like they kind of get down into the emotions and whatnot. But then you have the Bard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna put it out there. The Bard is my favorite.
Scanlan,
hands down. Scanlan is my favorite.
Yeah, because I've heard it. I've been wanting to check it out. So good. I'll definitely have to see it. I never watched Critical Role, but I know what it is.
Yeah, I just talked you up, Critical Role people. Better give us some likes.
Yes,
that's right.
I've been a fan of Critical Role since like campaign 1, so
yeah,
it's very exciting to see how far they've taken this.
Yeah, right? It seems from like
playing in their dining room.
Yeah,
like the first videos are them like in their dining room to like actually turning their love and like weekly game of Dungeons and Dragons into a job, into a company,
$1 million company.
Yeah, crazy. On top of that, I don't know what I've read. I've read something. It's here. What was I reading?
Files are inaccessible at this time.
Right. I spent a lot of time coloring a story that Peter Clinton did the line art and inks for. Right. I spent a lot of time coloring
that guy. That guy's a punk.
Yeah, it took priority because it was time sensitive, and so I kind of like worked on that. And then I also we have at my local comic shop Stephanie Nadolny is coming. She's the voice of Kid Gohan and Kid Goku.
Oh yeah.
American translation. And so I'm doing a piece to so that my comic store can present to her. And then just working on obsoletes, just hammering out as much as I can. Trying to keep Aaron on his toes.
Yeah.
Damn.
I guess the race is on.
That's what I did. Oh, Tim, I played Unravel 2.
Okay. It sounds familiar.
It's a game where you're basically this figure made of yarn. And you can use that yarn to lasso stuff and put. But Unravel 2 is co-op. You can, and so my best friend told me hey, I downloaded this game and I played it with my 4-year-old. I think your girls will like it. I think your kids will like it because my youngest are girls. I was like, okay. So tonight, while my older kids went to youth group, me and my youngest played Unravel 2, and that game is hilarious.
That's awesome.
There's I don't know if it's for kids, but there's that It Takes Two.
Yes,
that's about. But I mean, I guess you could play it for kids. I mean, that's
what I heard that a lot of people are enjoying playing with their kids, or I even heard good reports of people playing with their partners who may not necessarily be into gaming. So that's
it's a pretty fun game.
Yeah,
but that is all I've done.
Perfect. All right, Mr. Quinn, what have you been up to?
I've been catching up on Expanse. Expanse. Yeah, pretty awesome. Other than that, just been working a lot. I mean, I've barely gotten anything else done besides work and stuff. So, yeah, I did play DayZ last night for the first time in forever.
Nice.
Not the standalone, but the old mod.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
the old Arma mod.
They are still modding that thing. Still modding it.
Wait, what? Because I played that on Xbox.
Yeah, it used to be a mod on a game called Arma 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, before it was the standalone, it was Arma 2, and a guy named Dean Rocket had gotten it, and he started making mods for it. And he is the reason why there is a standalone, is because that game just took off so hard.
And really kind of like created the battle royale craze.
Yes, he did. That was that game, or not he, but that game has been responsible for a lot of the modern games that we've been seeing the last few years. Matter of fact, the all-encompassing Fortnite didn't even have a real battle royale to start with.
Originally, it was just a tower defense, yeah.
Yeah, and they just moved it into that, and that's when they actually just exploded. So, yeah. So PUBG was the one before Fortnite, and just before, the same guy that played that was responsible for doing the battle royale in the DayZ mod. So that's where it all spawned from. But you can still go play DayZ, the original old DayZ.
No,
it's really cool game. I play it from time to time, and it's mainly because I've got some friends who still play, and it's really good to hook up with old friends sometimes.
Yeah.
Other than that, nothing. Nothing I can really speak of.
Sure. For me, I have been playing a ton of Destiny 2. As they got
with the new expansion out.
With the new expansion,
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. It's not like my entire streaming career was started on that.
Destiny 2. What is this game you speak of?
Yes.
Right.
Let me get the. Does it get buried underneath my workstation? I think it might have. Okay. Well. Oh no, there it is. We actually have a banner I need to get put up here and back somewhere.
Oh, cool.
I'm getting my legendary for every legendary achievement you get on Destiny, you can actually order a real life badge and you can Velcro them onto here. So I'm in process of getting those ordered out.
Boy, they saw you coming.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. So I just beat the campaign on legendary actually for the new expansion. But yeah, I beat the campaign already. I've gone through and started doing the grind up for the new content. It is the best the game has felt ever. For anyone who's played Destiny 1, it's even better than Taken King was. So it's a good time to play Destiny. That's what I've been doing. I have mostly just defense journals and OSINT research at this point. But with all the news and stuff going on. But last week I got the latest trade of X-Force in, being on the pre-release list, and now I got the latest X-Men mainline trade in. And this is a chunky boy. This is a chunky trade.
That looks thick.
Yeah. It's 6 issues, but I want to say that now their issues are like 33 pages. So that's going to be my reading for tonight.
How many pages is it, you said?
I want to say the X-Men releases are not like 30 or like at least 26 pages, but some of them feel like they're 33.
I mean, it should be for what they're charging.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, but also like the scope of the storytelling that's in X-Men right now is
that a trade paperback or is that just an issue of the comic?
This is a trade paperback. Yeah. Okay. It's a trade, but it looks like a collected edition. With how thick it is. Yeah. X-Men and Destiny. What else? I haven't been watching any Star Wars things recently, though, so I guess I'm not totally cliche as far as I go.
I remembered what I was reading.
Okay.
DC versus vampires.
Ah,
DC versus vampires.
Yeah.
Do I want to know what that is? I mean, I guess it's kind of self-explanatory, isn't it?
It's greatness, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah, anytime comics can go like utterly ridiculous, I'm all for it.
Right? And man, I can't even tell you about it. Like, I don't even want to tell you because I want you to go look at it. Like, check it out. It's awesome.
So is this almost kind of like a variation of like the
yeah, it's definitely
Marvel
like an
zombie sort of thing?
Yeah, kind of, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I know that when Marvel did the zombies, it seemed like after that is when the zombie craze really took off. Maybe it's just that that's the first time it came into my field, of view. Yeah. I don't know, but man,
I feel like comics have been like a secret like trendsetter for like a while now. Not so much secretly, but
I agree. Yeah,
I feel like that definitely like a lot of people are like deep into entertainment who have like read or come across comics because it's the. I think it was Matthew Scott from the Wednesday Club described comics as being the American mythology. That we don't really have like fables and tales of yore. Like you're not telling your kids to eat their soup or the gremlin in the forest is going to eat them.
That's what I tell mine. I don't know what you do.
Instead, it's all about like you compare everything to Superman or you compare things to Batman or Spider-Man. We talked about this last week, and that if you listen to hip hop, like if it's like a proper hip hop artist, like every other song features some sort of comic reference.
Yeah.
And was it MF Doom? He did a lot of his stuff. And I didn't even know, like I knew of MF Doom before we passed, but like I didn't really know his stuff. And one of my friends is like huge into like house music and whatnot. And like he's constantly like, oh yeah, MF Doom this. Like he's like, oh, you gotta hear this song. You gotta hear this song. You gotta hear this song. Like this has clips from like the old, was it 1970s cartoon of Fantastic Four of Iron Man, stuff like that, which is kind of dope. Yeah. I would never tell that to his face, but
Yeah. Was it the one of the tracks that like released right after he passed was a collaboration with him, RZA, and a couple other artists, and I believe it featured like samples from Samurai Champloo. Yeah. But definitely very cool. So that is what we've been reading, watching, and playing this week. So, and we're just about at the 30-minute mark, so we're right on time. So let's get into tonight's subject. I'm not going to lie, I kind of forgot about this one. It has been a busy news week.
Yes, it has.
Really, what could be happening in the news that can cause such distraction?
Especially if you're happen to work in digital security, which involves OSINT, and one of the current players in the world news is a major perpetrator of digital security breaches. So anyway, talking about communication, the tools for which, and we'll also get into like the processes, I guess, of communicating in the comics world. We'll also talk about how communication now has Roland even mentioned this in his craft post, which went out today. So visit silverline.com to see the recent craft post. But
I started reading it.
Got bored.
Got to the point where Roland you got past my intro to the point where Roland started talking and clicked out.
It's like, I don't know.
No.
I remember this dude now.
I actually started reading it right before work, and I was like, man, I gotta get to work. It was really interesting.
Roland's interesting?
Yeah, I'm planning on finishing it. I hope to.
I think it's a good
before the quiz or after.
Yeah. Speaking of finishing, I've yet to do today's Wordle, so I got to do that after tonight's show.
I can prove that I read it because I had to stop on the part where it said, do you go back and fix things, or do you just push through with it?
Right.
See, I read.
There you go. So, talking about communication. Obviously, communication has changed a lot since even rolling out into comics. Late 80s and the 90s. Communication has changed drastically since, that's only 30 years ago. Not to mention, when comics first started out in the 40s, 50s. Well, even I guess even before then, if you go into like the actual history of comics, but comics as we understand them today. But I guess opening up the floor to the most basic of introductory questions. How much do you value communication with the different members of your comic team, and at what points does it that value pick up? What point do you like diminish it? Do you ever just put like the team chat on mute? Or I mean,
only you, Tim.
Only me.
Tim, what are you trying to tell us?
No. Sometimes to put the company chat on mute, but for your individual projects, how does that factor into your general mental state or regard for the communication of the project?
Well, first,
go ahead, you're gonna Jose.
You're the teacher. We got to put the company chat on mute.
Yeah, I just want to say that I love that it's the episode about communication. You start off with everyone talking over each other.
Well, this ought to be a good subject because obviously everybody has something to say.
Yeah.
Since I've worked on most of my stuff by myself, this obsolete is kind of the first time I've worked with other people. So far, the only thing I've used is email.
All right.
Sorry, it's not exciting.
That's
I mean,
that's cool.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think Wes is on instant chat or anything. So just
well, you probably talk to yourself some, right?
Oh, he does.
No, I have imaginary people.
I talk to myself. Sometimes I've got to have an expert opinion.
I know.
Right.
And sometimes I just spitball ideas off my cat. Right, the cat's just sitting next to me. I have a chair here that doesn't really get used, so the cat's just laying there. So if I'm just trying to verbally process something, I'll start talking to the cat, and they're just staring at me like, "What's happening? What are these sounds you're making?"
Yeah.
So I would say my first comic I ever made. I think, man, it was I want to say early 2000s, and even then there was email, but I didn't hardly email anybody. So when I had the guy that was helping me write it originally, it would have to be hey, send him a message. It's hey, let's meet somewhere because this is taking too long to email back and forth, right? So, and thankfully he was in the town that I was in, so we could meet at a restaurant called Callahan's that's open 24/7 and go there, have some coffee and chat. So communication back then for me wasn't nearly as digital communication anyway wasn't very prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
But now everything that I do is digital, and I actually don't I don't mind texting, but I never like text talk. I never break up everything up and give numbers and letters for stuff. I literally spell everything out. And when my oldest daughter started texting, I taught her how to spell everything out so nothing is abbreviated. I was like, listen, it's gonna hinder you if you don't learn how to spell things out when you type, when you write.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter's taken that into her writing. So
that's good.
I know that's a little side note, but I try my best to communicate. But unless someone actually reaches out to me specifically, I'm not a big fan of making comments. I just recently posted.
You're not a big fan of making comics? Aren't you in the wrong business then? I was like, I caught that. I'm like, what do you think we do here, Jose?
But I'm I don't chat very well.
I do chat sometimes. Most of the time, by the time I get into the chat messages on Silverline, it's I'll read one message and come back a second later. It's 12 messages ahead. I'm like, I don't want to read all this. Yeah. I don't know. I probably would get more into communication as the obsoletes goes on. But right now, I just talk to myself, as Quentin says.
Yeah, I absolutely love the chat. I love people posting their artwork and stuff. But as far as on projects that I'm on, I definitely like being able to easily text or message whoever I'm working with to get stuff cleared up. Or, throw some ideas here or there, man, it's invaluable to be able to do that.
Right.
I know with Mackenzie, because things get so bogged down in Messenger, and sometimes throughout the day, I hear the ding of, Silverline going off, and I will usually check those all at once. And so what I've done, instead of having her, messaging her on Messenger, I usually text her, if I'm doing something or if she's, uh, talking to me about something, we're either emailing or messaging. That way it's off of Messenger so that when I hear the Messenger go off, I'm not thinking it's her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's project specific.
yeah, yeah. And it'd be the same way, if me and Aaron were doing something, or me and Jose, or whoever, I would rather have like it separate somehow, some separate room or something, not in Messenger. That way I wouldn't be looking at the phone every time the Messenger goes off.
I'm just thinking if I ever did something with Quentin, I'll just constantly, are you done yet? Are you done yet? How about
Yeah.
now? Are you done now? Are you done
That's
now?
what I'm doing. That's kind of what I'm doing to Curtis right now. Every time he posts something, I'm like, why
done?
is it not done? Yeah,
I know. What are you?
But I'm trying to help him. I'm trying to push him. We all need a good little push.
Watch out! He can actually rip your spinal cord out with the spinal
I know.
cord.
I know.
All right.
He is such a humble tiger.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that he could really jack you up, but
that's the one we make fun. Yeah, the books are funny. Yeah. Like see the guys that skywriting airplanes.
Yeah.
Usually when I communicate, I pick my rider up in an unmarked vehicle. There's a man in a black suit that will usher them in.
Right. Yeah. Black bag them before you stick them in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, an undisclosed warehouse somewhere to go over notes. And
then you set it on fire when you're done.
Yep. Yes, it self-destructs.
Yes, I've had a few meetings where it's felt like that.
Don't say that. Roland's listening.
I've been in comics for just only. I've always been a very digital person, so like early on, I was into all forms of instant messenger and like image boards and stuff.
Trying to say you like computers, Tim?
I like computers. Yes, but I mean now being able to instant message, especially with how like international some of these teams are, it's super handy. I mean, right now we're working on Wolf Hunter. Well, Wolf Hunter was interesting because it's I say it's a entirely American team, but the cover is done by Martin, who I want to say I actually don't know his geolocation. But
the colors, right?
Colors, yeah. But I got the cover done by Pete, and Pete's actually British, but as we're doing a British comic where everyone on the team is very American.
Right. So is he? Is Wolf Hunter done? The first issue done?
Well, first issue is done. I am in the process of proofing, and we're going to be in market this month. So when we get to the top of the hour, that's what we'll be doing our ad spot for.
You should have Peter do a cover for it, so he can just smear it with the British flag.
Oh, he did. He did. So it's in the group chat right now. Yeah, it's in the group chat. Oh, yeah.
Martin did he put the British flag in it? I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He sure did.
Yeah. It's
like 3/4 of the, or not 3/4, but 1/3 of the cover.
Yeah, he made sure he got it in there real nice and big.
I wanted to be in there too because it is. I pitching it. I wanted Willard to be. I wanted everyone to feel very British in that series, where everyone's like, it's like you're lying through your teeth to someone. You're lying through a smile. Yeah. But being able to do that sort of instant communication, working on a new book which is yet to be revealed. My artist is actually over in Turkey. He lives over in Istanbul.
That's
so,
cool.
like without instant messaging, we'd be waiting. It'd be months of just sending things back and forth through snail mail back in the old days. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine. That's why I think so many international artists couldn't really work together too well because of the snail mail. But now he's opened the whole world up to,
Can you imagine
which is good and bad. So,
yeah.
Seriously, can you imagine sending artwork across like the ocean and whatnot from like to your publisher and whatnot?
It just keeps covered in seaweed and water.
The way it used to be.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I can't even fathom that.
Well, that's even like something Roland had mentioned is that in old days, one of the worries you'd have is that the postal service or UPS or FedEx or whoever, usually FedEx, would just break your package on the way in. So you'd have like this artist's original art, and it's like in half.
Yeah.
So now, so if you're factoring that in, like with international shipping, you're like, all right, okay. So I know it's been like 2 months, but can you recreate this?
Be funny if the guy actually comes up to give you a package before he gets it. He breaks it over his knee and hands it to you.
Exactly.
Like, thank you.
Yes.
I got my Christmas gift from you. Thank you.
I know. Is this supposed to the sound like broken glass? Yeah.
Perfect. Ideal. Yeah.
That used to be a thing back in the day of sending like giving your mail person or whatever like Christmas gifts and my grandmother used to give them like gifts all the time, and then my aunts would give them money. I think they like my aunt more.
Yeah. Which is really a lot like Halloween back in its early days. You're setting out candy for all the demons that are coming around your house. It's like you pay off the the mailman with a tip and give him a Christmas gift every year, so he'll bring your stuff.
Your yearly
what did you grow up exactly, Quentin? Were there demons walking around a lot around where you grew up?
Yeah.
I'm just inquiring minds want to know.
Well, it's like Mary Lou, the Welsh horse from Halloween, which I think we should make a universal tradition around the world, where someone in town puts on a horse skull and goes door to door and starts speaking in rhyme, and you have to speak in rhyme back. And whoever gives up first, if the person the horse gives up first or loses, they have to leave. But if you lose, they get to come in and raid your pantry. They get to all your food.
Well, I remember that there was a movie. What was it? Trick or Treat, which is an anthology horror movie, but there was like a little kid trick or treater that was like a horror demon. Strange enough, when Quentin said that, I'm like, do you have kids like that? Because that was kind of a creepy movie.
Yeah.
Any more questions about communication?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. So communication styles can vary person to person and team to team, and usually end up finding a nice mesh where either like you guys can end up either copying each other or you naturally have communication styles that are very similar. So naturally, how do you find your communications like are? Do you find that you're more of like a short sentences? Do you write longer? Do you like putting in like a ton of context exposition? Do you ramble on for the length of the show, as we all do? And you find yourself sometimes changing your style to match someone you're working with, or do you find people tend to match you, or does it kind of end up meeting somewhere in the middle?
For communication style, I usually write everything out. I try to be as clear as possible, no shorthand. I always find it weird because I still write emails as letters. Like, hey, I write like, hey, whatever, or dear, whatever. And then I write like, the message, and then, take care, whatever. But most people just write a sentence and won't even sign their name. I'm like, oh, okay. So this people who treat like emails like a text message, I'm like, oh, that still kind of throws me. I don't know. Maybe it's just. But yeah, I try to write by a pager.
Yeah. I can't imagine also working like in Marvel or DC in the 90s or 80s or whatever, and you just get like you're like, okay, here's your company pager when this goes off. Report your editor.
That's when you drop on my food's done.
Yeah.
And,
right.
With me, I am very folksy. Honestly, I just if I've gotten as far as to working with somebody, I kind of show them pretty much up front, that I'm a little folksy, and so I kind of chit chat a little bit. I may, it's not all personal, but it's not all professional. Just the way I am. Because I don't really want to be doing this in my spare time and be in another professional situation. I've done that all day. I don't want to. I don't want to be all dry with talking just strictly business. That's just me. I've done that all day. I'm not doing this to do that. I am doing this to enjoy myself. And if you can't do that with me, then
Yeah.
But I pick up on it pretty quick if somebody just wants to be professional. But usually I don't. Usually I have a pretty good feeling about people pretty early on if they're that way or not. But I haven't met anybody at Silverline yet that's not like we all are. That just doesn't. That has. I haven't met anybody that has a problem chit chatting or just talking about their day or whatever, or ribbing each other a little bit, here and there.
Yeah,
I mean, I love that kind of stuff. I love that.
And even when I cry, Quentin doesn't care. You just
yeah. I just laugh. It's like, look at him, he's crying again.
Yeah, no.
You're gonna run to your mama. Yeah. It's funny.
Roland said to me when I first started doing stuff for Silverline that like we're doing this, like I mean most of us are trying to make our life out of this. This is what we're trying to do because we're trying to be creators. But if we can't have fun doing this, then kind of what's the point? You know what I mean? He's like, you have to really like understand that most of us are doing this because we enjoy doing this. Like this is what we love to do, pure and simple. And like my first response to that was like, I agree with that completely. Like I know that this is what I do for my career. I stay at home, I draw, I work on art, I run errands when my wife calls me and tells me to run errands. But this is what I do, and so like to be able to like communicate with my fellow creators and say, hey, by the way, like oh you guys like you guys just posted this artwork. This is awesome. Like I think this was great because of this, and you know what I mean. To be able to like bounce that back and forth to each other, like that communication and camaraderie that we have, like on our chats and whatnot, like that spurs me to do more. To like, oh man, they really dig that. Let me keep working at that, and you know what I mean, and see if they like some of these other little things that I try. You know what I mean, artistically experiment with, and see if they like that. Like I really enjoy that.
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna start writing every time Jose posts some sucks.
This guy right here.
Yeah. I know. What do you call that? Drawing? Would you draw that with a stick?
What were you thinking?
I thought I did.
I know.
I think I probably have like the most dramatic change for my at least from what I've gathered from at least everyone here and from other people I talk to. I probably have the most dramatic change in my day-to-day communication to how I talk on like in like group conversations as well and emails as well as like on the show here. And because naturally I talk like Pauly Shore and Encino Man. That's a lot more swearing.
I think my pancreas. yeah.
I gotta wheeze a little juice. My natural conversation is in some way involving dude, bro, rad, and other very short forms, metaphors for something decent. Oh God. If we start having meetings in a metaverse, I quit. I'm not even wearing pants right now.
And we just got cut up.
Yeah, no.
It was YouTube.
They're perfect. We already got banned once. We can do it again.
Yeah, I know.
But
just bring Barbara on here. She started talking about stuff.
No,
she got us banned the first time.
I'm not wearing proper pants. I am wearing these very nice Venom joggers though.
And just like that, we're banned from Twitch too.
There you go.
I know.
I didn't show feet, so I think we're good. But
somebody just gave us coins. What?
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Coins, and it just keeps coming.
I don't even know how you managed to slip a single through the computer, but you did.
I
did.
Well, do you guys want to hear the story of that?
I'm honest. I believe is actually just kind of a coincidence, but it was very funny timing. It might have been the algorithm picking up what we're talking about and just giving us a timeout from YouTube streaming.
Yeah.
But we didn't get any official notice from YouTube. But Barb was talking about how she has a history of a history. That sounds weird. She has portfolio work from her time working in smut comics and literature. and was naming some of the credited titles that she has. And Sid kind of brought up that some of the same things that he had worked on or that he had referenced, because he brings that into his own work as well,
right?
And shortly thereafter, YouTube just stopped streaming us, and we could not go live for the rest of the night.
Yeah, so she technically did get us banned.
Oh.
Yeah, but some interesting combinations of words were said that have been known to upset the algorithm in the past.
Yeah.
So that may have did it.
Just watch what you say. You don't want to take away Barb's street cred.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that woman can outdo most men. Stuff that comes out of her mouth.
Barb's great. Yeah, but Mike Musician style. I think also it helps having a background working in the corporate world. I know how to do corporate writing and do corporate tech reports and
corporate speak.
Corporate speak is literally part of my day job.
That's always what I get when I do. Keep going. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no,
I did, but
so I find Silverline can do a nice little mix of I think she did. I'm pretty sure she has those accredited underneath her own name. But for me, no idea. Because for inkers, for writers, there's definitely taboo working in smut and then going into other publishing. But for inkers, art, for the most part, art is considered art. So if they can see you arted sequential pages, I don't care what the context is. I just want to know that you did it.
Well, that and the fact, hey, if you're getting paid, you're getting paid.
Yeah.
People ask
there's some intricate details you got to get down.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is.
We get Jose could also get into some details there if he chose to.
Well, was it Michael Omin, the guy who did Powers?
Yeah,
he was at a convention where he talked that he started out doing adult comics and then went into the mainstream.
Yeah, so, it's a very easy way to get into it. I mean, that's also something I had a roommate when in college who was going through a film program. And consensus from a lot of professors are we got started in adult entertainment before we ever moved to Hollywood or working in Georgia on TV. It's that's where they're willing to hire camera guys and you can build experience for your CV.
Sylvester Stallone got to start doing that. So
yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I almost got a job with Avatar Comics years ago. And
what did they do? Was that kind of like Zenoscope?
They had an adult line that they were doing, and when I say adult, I mean their stuff was super duper adult, and I just I kicked it around. I just could not do it. I really wanted to work in comics and everything, but man, I just couldn't do it, because if it would have been bikinis or, anything like that, I could have done it. But man, it was so, it was real. And I just couldn't,
Some people, and you have to kind of sometimes, be careful a little bit, because if you get stuck in one or the other, it's hard to get out of. I mean, people keep calling you for work. So there's certain things I won't do either.
I will say, bring it back around to communication is because I worked on an adult book, and it was a big book, and the writer is still a really good friend of mine, right?
Yeah.
But I had to tell him, like, I got so far into it, like into drawing it, or not drawing, but like inking in it, that I had to communicate to him, like, listen. I talked to my wife about it. I was like, listen, I can't keep seeing this on my screen over and over again. It's really like messing my brain up. So like I communicated with him to say, hey, like this is where I'm at. This is why I can't go any further on this book. I will finish up to the first standard trade paperback size,
Right.
but then I can't go any further. Like I'm really sorry. And like because I was like just upfront and communicated with him about it, he was totally cool. And like I said, he's still one of my really good friends.
Yeah.
And I feel like, that's something that can be said for good communication in like any sort of relationship, working or otherwise, is setting clear boundaries.
Strangely enough, I had clear boundaries. I had this animation thing I was working on. This is years and years ago. And as I was working on it, I eventually found out that even though it was like about little talking animals and stuff, it would have like a religious message or overtone to it. Nothing against it, but I have a hard time working in anything that's religious based, any religion, just because I don't want to get shoehorned into that, and also because if I don't particularly believe in the particular religion you're promoting, that feels kind of wrong to me.
Yeah.
So there's certain things like I won't get into. Same thing with hyper violent comics. I don't really want to draw anything that has just tons of blood and gore.
So yeah, but which is I want to write things that do tons of blood and gore. So I have to figure something out where we do like the Harley Quinn vision in Suicide Squad, where it's just all flowers. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can. The funny thing is like there's some gore that I'm like I read Invincible. Like the gore can go overboard a little bit in that, but sometimes it's just like splattered red or whatever. That's okay. There was a few scenes in that one where I was like, wow, okay.
Well, the Avatar offer came after I'd done some pretty risque stuff for Approbation Comics, cheerleaders versus zombies, or zombies versus cheerleaders. I can't remember.
Zombies versus cheerleaders.
Yeah, I did a line of covers for him. Real good guy. And I that was kind of like as much as I would go, as far as I would go, skimpy stuff like that. I didn't really enjoy doing it, but it was work, and it was it was doing comics, and they had saw that, and they were like, "Hey, dude, you do any adult comics?" And I was like, and then he started telling me more about it, and I was like, just let me have a little bit of time to think about it, and I just couldn't,
I'm just thinking, like, every time you say adult comics, I just picture all these people sitting around this table sipping tea and speaking in complete sentences. Like we're mature. This is the mature comic. It's
and that's also kind of apply for writers and editors too, which is kind of weird to think about, that like you're the one creating the idea or editing the idea. But we had one pitch come through a while ago, and we turned it down because it's just the optics were not the best with it, but it dealt with a very sensitive subject that like dealt with a very traumatic like incident for a lot of people that happened like somewhat recently. And like, listen, unless this is coming from a certain perspective, I do not want to be the editor associated with this work, because we could miscategorize or misrepresent this. And so
when you get into certain subjects, I mean, that's real sensitive territory especially for some people.
And so I don't want to do something that could potentially, like,
I mean, if the guy's asking who your favorite Pokemon is, I mean, that's sensitive.
Apparently there's like a huge, like, they got the new Pokemon games announced recently, and people are like, there is like a lot happening with like the new starters. There is some drama, and
really,
I don't get it.
There's
people
drama
are crazy
about everything. It just seems like there's nothing that seems to come out anymore that's not like some sort of drama or whatever. It's just about all sorts of crazy stuff. I'm trying to think of any sci-fi or nerd thing that's been announced, a TV show or movie. Maybe the Batman.
The Batman
was there drama in that?
There was at the start, but it is getting 10 bombs. It is getting like.
What does that mean?
Stores are giving it perfect 10s. out of the early screenings, so I am super stoked for that. But
yeah, I did read that it's much more of a straight up detective story, which I'm pretty happy about.
And this seems like the kind of role that our Pats would do.
I heard it was 3 hours long.
Something like that, yeah.
Yes,
it's just under 3 hours.
I sat through Extended Lord of the Rings multiple times. I can do it.
That's different.
But the drama I don't know recently is with Halo. The TV series getting announced there, and the fact that they're going to be unmasking Master Chief, which
yes, I heard they were.
I don't know if I'm happy with that.
It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird, but I get it because it's television and you need a face to sell television. But I feel like
same thing with Mandalorian.
I feel like with the target audience. Well, Mandalorian, I feel like was different though because that played into his character story. That was the whole thing where like now the unmasking is like potentially also damaging him in the story. So,
right,
yeah. I get that it wasn't just for like, hey, well, we have Pedro Pascal. It was this setting up this moment where he now has to deal with the consequences of going against his religion. Right. But if your religion says you have to wear a mask at all times, like even in private, get out.
I wish we had that religion today.
You can't even say that. Oh my gosh, we're gonna get banned.
I know. Unless it's a funny hat. If it's a funny hat,
it's funny hat, go for it. But no, we're gonna have some cults in the backwoods come after us now.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but our Lord and Savior Sasquatch. Who wear his wool at all times.
Is this something you want to talk to us about, Tim?
You didn't hear the context to what he was saying.
My disestablishmentarianism complex is coming out today.
Right.
There's your Wordle for the day.
Yeah, some guy said there's plenty of drama with the Masters of the Universe series.
Yeah, that one was interesting. Yeah.
Why? I mean, I get it. It wasn't really He-Man in Masters of the Universe. It was Teela in the Masters of the Universe.
But I think it's one of those things where, it's one of those things where you get so like, where if you're attached to the idea and it's your story, it's what you grew up with. So when you see a different spin on it, even if there is like artistic credit to some aspects of it, you almost don't want to give it those or the benefit out for those.
Well, it is. Go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
I think if they had renamed it to be like Teela in the Masters Universe or Prince Alexander and Teela, I think it would have got a different reception.
I mean, Teela was a cooler character anyway.
I think part of that controversy was because they actually were saying at the beginning that this is, picking up where Filmation left off. And that really, in the midst of everything else that was being said, when people found out, hey, this is nothing like the old one, then, it was on then. I mean, they were already in trouble with people because of the stuff that was going around. But then when everybody found out, hey, this is not, then that made a lot more people angry.
So are you saying that they did not communicate with their fans as well as they should have? See how I brought that back?
There you go.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, it would be
the mantra of this age, seems like.
It would be like a lot of people who switch. I mean, it would be like if they made a new She-Ra show and decided Man-at-Arms was the main character.
Yes.
Well, they did do a new She-Ra show, they did the same thing with it.
It got some pretty good reviews though. But anyway, we'll get back to that after this break. This break is not an actual break; it's just me popping my screen open.
And going to the bathroom.
Oh man!
Coming later this month. This is still kind of work in progress, but we got Wolf Hunter issue #1 coming to Kickstarter. It is a World War II secret history spy drama. Think planes, trains, and automobiles meets murder on the Orient, set in the backdrop of the Battle of Britain. It follows the story of RAF Group Captain Willard after he suffers a critical injury in one of the battles over the Channel, over Dover, and gets recruited by some interesting characters with perhaps a hidden agenda to operate in a counterintelligence scenario.
That looks fantastic.
Well, thanks for telling us the entire story, Tim.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Ruined it all.
You know, it's all.
Is that Peter's cover?
This is Peter's cover with Martin Margone's colors and John Tink's. Yeah.
That symbol in the back. Does that look familiar to you?
You know, all I'm saying is God save the Queen. We got to go back.
God save the Queen.
God save the Queen.
I don't see any stars on that symbol.
I guess at this point it was the king. But yeah. Cover, we got our protagonist, group captain James Willard. We have one Mr. Winston Churchill, as well as Henry Tizard and Edward James Bowen. If you know your history, you might be able to piece together some of what is involved in the story. But it is it involves some vital technology, a plot to steal it, and unraveling a series of lies in a very short time frame. That's our pitch.
Jam. That's good. That's good.
You should write the next sequel about the I can't remember, but the bell. I can't remember what the bell is called. You guys have heard about that? That crazy. You guys never heard about the bell?
There's a lot of bells.
Liberty Bell?
No, the bells, and there was supposed to be like some sort of secret bell that was actually supposed to be a time travel device by the Nazis. Yes. It showed up in like in some field.
Yeah.
There's a full name for it. It's not.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
that was real.
Yeah. The occult stuff. But actually, there is potentially plans. Well, it depends on how well this do. There's like ideas for sequels to this going on. Because it was rumored that during World War II there was around 6 or 7 active German spies and high levels of English government that the Special Operations Executive were trying to out or contain. So this is kind of the secret history of all those. But there is ideas for a spinoff that would perhaps see a bit more Nazi intrigue, but this would be set during the Warsaw Uprising and deal with the Polish resistance and their spy activities over there.
I cannot wait to have this book in my hands.
I'm very proud of, especially it's gonna be one of those weird things. Like I definitely feel like the first issues is like one of the best establishing things I've written in a while. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun time. Anyway, so communicating. So we talked about communicating with the team and the different aspects there, and we kind of touched on it. But communicating with the audience, and so obviously. I just did that in communicating the sales pitch for Wolf Hunter. But also, we talk about like issues where you don't set the right expectations on people come into it confused. They're like, well, that's not what the advertisement said. Or it's very possible to undersell something and it can, flop in the box office and then blow up later on, much like, The Crow kind of did. Or
the original Crow?
Yeah.
What do you mean flop?
Well, not really flop, but it the point where you end up getting more love for it after the studio's already kind of like done with the idea because they're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll make a Crow 2 now.
Yeah. Which is that is a story that never needed a sequel.
Yeah.
I actually like that story. Like the aesthetic of it, I actually like that story.
But
the principle behind it, I guess.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is if I've heard they want to remake The Crow, if they ever remake The Crow directly like the graphic novel, I think that'd be interesting. The main movie was kind of, but there was no main bad guy, and he didn't lose his powers.
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah. I guess also a really interesting example of kind of that is something where the studio will undersell something, and then the now living in the information age, the audience then rallies around it and communicates what actually is going on to get more people interested towards the end of lifespan. And that I feel like was Alita Battle Angel, where the first 2 weeks no one saw that movie. The last month everyone went to go see it because everyone online was like, "You got to see this. This is fantastic."
Right.
Yeah.
Still haven't seen that one. I need to go see it.
It's really fun.
It's like I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know it was like was it an anime or a manga or whatever. I didn't even know that. But like I had friends that told me, "Oh, you have to go watch it. It's fantastically done." I'm like, okay. Sure enough, it was awesome.
Oh yeah. Like I forgot the name of the actor, but the German actor who played the doctor.
Can kids watch it? Just curious.
Yeah.
I would think so.
It's got
Yeah.
violence
Well,
in it.
Christoph
Yeah,
Waltz. Christoph Waltz is fantastic, and like the visual effects in that. Holy cow, that was like a tour de force in visual effects.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. But I don't know if there's anything too. I mean, it doesn't get like raunchy or bloody really at any points. I don't know if there's any language.
I don't mind that.
Yeah. But it's well, I mean, there is a brain in a jar. That's but
yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, it's it is probably the most epic coming of age story I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it on the list, Quentin.
Mm-hmm.
I will put it on the list.
So communicating with the audience, obviously in indie comics, we don't have the grace of being a major publisher with a marketing department, although now publishers in general are relying more and more on the actual creators and artists to do their own marketing, because a lot of people like connecting with their favorite creators as opposed to insert brand name here. People actually like, being able to see like, oh, here's what my favorite artist is saying about this, and then here's my favorite writer saying about this thing they've written. So a lot of publishers are leaning into that in traditional publishing and on comics. So, but in indies, especially, we have our marketing budget is what we got on pocket. So for you guys, when your experience with communicating with the audience or in shows and cons online, in our new podcast, digital video formatting live show, what are some of your experiences there? Tips, tricks, life hacks, favorite things about it, least favorite things about it. I'll let you guys have the floor.
Well, although I have communication skills, I don't necessarily love to.
He's got communication skills to pay the bills.
Yeah.
skills.
Skills. There's been certain positions and things that I've undertaken in my lifetime where I've had to hone my skills to get better, to be a better communicator. And some of them pretty important, some of them not as important. But anyway, invaluable, the stuff I've been able to learn and glean from other people. But, this social media thing, it's tough. I really have to work on it. So yeah, it's always a constant thing for me. But as far as like going to a con and talking to somebody, I find that so much easier. Just so much easier.
And I sell most of my books that way. I hardly, it's hard to sell online. It's hard to get people to engage. And the other thing too is so many people online, they always say like, well, if you want to get popular, sell your book, you have to sell yourself. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm kind of a private person. I don't want to sell myself. I mean, I don't.
We need those sweet picks, Aaron. We need those sweet picks.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know you guys don't want me in the bearskin rug and all that, but I mean, I don't know. It just seems kind of like getting away from the point of looking at my artwork. I mean, I'm here to sell my comic and my story, but we want to know about you. And I'm like, shouldn't my work be enough? I mean, it's
no.
I know. No, I know.
We want to know what you eat in the mornings.
You're fine on that one. As just the answer to the question.
I am terrible at talking to people. Like I don't know what it is, but like if I get people to come to my table, I'm like, hi. Stuff.
Yeah, comics.
Like even like because I usually go to conventions with my comic shop guy, right? He'll go and he'll get a table for to peddle his wares, and I'll get a table to peddle mine. And even he's like, you really need to talk to people. Like you need to get out there, just like, like that is never who I've ever been. So like the idea of communicating with people out in public has never been my strong suit. And even going to art school, they told me that. They were like, you're going to have to communicate and, like, sell yourself and, be open to, talking to people, getting them to come to your table. I'm like,
yep.
Can't I just have a flashy light that flashes?
Let's get some of those rave gloves.
I know.
Well, yeah, shocker. I am actually an intensely introverted person. You can't tell. It's taken years to get to the point where I'm at, and it was only because I was kind of pressed into it. It's tough. It's tough, and sometimes, especially like during this COVID thing, when we were made to stay home. There's so many things I really enjoyed about that, but at the same time, it kind of hurt because the longer I'm away from people, the longer I want to be away from people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more company I give myself, the more I want to give myself so it's tough. It's tough, Jose. It certainly is. Certainly is. I totally feel you. I am an introverted person who acts when pressed to be extroverted. So I don't see how people do it. I don't see how people go. They have absolutely no issue with talking to people. They can be sitting in a stall in the public bathroom. Hey, man, what's going on? Like, dude, get it done and leave me alone.
Gizder, I think it's like, no, I mean, obviously I write my stuff to be read. I'm a writer.
No, it doesn't actually. I've never.
But
had
I mean, I get it. I get it.
It's if somebody actually did that, I'd be kind of curious to see what they'd get for it.
Well, not only that, there is a certain point that you come to, and I've decided this as well. Because I know how I look at comic books, and I will sit and I will read. There's a lot of comic books that I've bought that I haven't even read. So I know that about me. I know that about everybody because that's the way I am. And even if they do sit and read it, and I don't want to hurt anybody by saying this, but you put forever more work into that book than what they're ever gonna know or appreciate. So whenever I'm sitting here drawing for a cover, for a title, I am not thinking about. I mean, yes, it is on my mind. People are going to think this is cool. This is going to be great. But in the end, it is a comic book.
Yeah.
And they're going to read it, and it's going to take them the length of a cup of coffee, as mine do. And then it'll be on to the next comic book. And some people may look at that and they'll be like, well, what's the point? Well, the point is, if you're in it for them to read it and call you and send you mail, you might as well not even worry about it because going any further, because that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to read it. They're going to put it down. When you do comics, you need to be doing it for fun, for your own personal enjoyment or paycheck, whichever one you're doing it for. You may be working on something that you don't really feel, like, it's a great title, but you have to do it for your own fun. This for me is therapy. If I don't draw, if I don't have something going, I think one of the problems we have in this country and just in this age is that people don't have enough to do.
They don't have enough to do. I just, for some odd reason, I kind of see you're getting at there, but I don't know. I just go ahead, keep going.
Well, I just say, a lot of people are unhappy right now, and they're having all kinds of struggles, and it's because, a lot of times they're focusing on everything that's going on in their lives, and when I do this, it's like a little vacation, and I have to have that, and if I don't, after a little while, I start getting a little, testy, and I had to kind of be put in my place.
I can see Quentin when you're drawing like Trumps with the big battle pages stuff blowing up. What does this do? I'm getting healthy. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there are some things, man, I've had to just suffer through. Or when I'm not feeling it and it's got to get done, it's just such a, it's such a.
Did you say the same thing about my comics?
Yeah.
You didn't hear that?
If you're like a writer or an artist, like be under no illusions that you're going to be the next Alan Moore or Frazetta. Like like ideally the goal is that some kid picks up my book and for like the next 15 minutes, like, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's
seriously,
it.
Yeah.
World War II, is that the war we won independence from?
Yes.
Definitely that's why I pick up a comic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Minus the fact that, I grew up loving them, even though my dad hid his comics from me. But like, I found them, I read them, I instantly fell in love at like 6 years old. You know what I mean? And ever since then, it's been like comics. Like, and I have my favorites. Like I'm a huge Detective Comics fan. Oddly enough, not because of Batman, but I'm a huge Detective Comics fan. And I like I like that. I like Impossible Jones from Scout Comics. I think that's a really good book. Not to toot some Silverline horns and whatnot, but Bea is awesome. I love what I'm working on, but like, if I can pick up a book and just be entertained for just a few minutes, you know what I mean? That's all I care about. Like, that's the same reason I go to the movies. If I go to a movie, like, I don't care if people have trashed this movie and like this is garbage and blah, blah. If I can sit there and watch and be entertained, shut my brain off and be entertained, then that's really that's worth it for me. Like, that's worth the time and money I put into something.
Yeah.
That's why I wrote 300 pages in my comic, so that person has more than a few minutes to finish it.
Exactly.
I'm forcing you to read it.
And that's a good idea. That's a good idea. One of the reasons why I worked on, doing a board game is so that they would stay and interact with the story that I was telling a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Hey, sit down, pull up a chair, stay a while.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to figure out ways to, kind of snag folks and
to get them.
But again, at the end of the day, there's 1,000 games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So they'll be, hey, y'all want to play Relic Quest, and then they sit down, play Relic Quest for a while. They're probably not even interested in the story at all. And then, okay, well, let's play Pathfinder now, or let's play D&D. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, all media has this.
You have to do this stuff for yourself.
You do. Well, look at video games. I mean, look how many independent video games come out every week.
Yeah.
Even movies that are probably seen by a handful of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's comics are not alone in this sort of like, and of course, like the big defining factor is, the bigger corporations have tons of money for marketing.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. If you didn't have all that money for marketing, like even the Marvel movies probably wouldn't have been as big. I mean,
everything to be Sundance level.
Yeah.
So it's like you can make the most amazing best thing, but without the proper marketing, and that's one of my things with corporations. They just overshadow everyone, especially on the internet. I mean, once the corporation got on the internet, it was gone. I mean, it's just like all the algorithms work for the bigger companies; they don't work for you, and so yeah.
And marketing is just another form of communication. So when you're marketing and all that dead space and all that static,
this sounds like a commercial.
Wolf Hunter.
With a cup of coffee and Wolf Hunter.
Yeah. I need to draft up some like World War II propaganda, like with photos like the UK like recruitment photos, but like Wolf Hunter stuff.
Sweet.
Yes, I need. I'm going into my photo editor this weekend. But when you're, we talk about like. Obviously, like, in a con, it's a lot different because you are like one-on-one and people are kind of forced to interact with you as they walk by. But online, you're in a giant sea of voices all saying like, "Hey, look at my comic." Whereas, in a con, it can be kind of the same issue where, especially if we're in a bigger one, you're one of, so many booths. So, and people always say, like, you know, find weird ways to pop your stuff out, like try to go viral or whatever, is just the worst advice.
It is because it's not sustainable.
You know, if you keep on making like rewarding content, eventually one of those may go viral. It's a natural thing. But you know, trying to create a way that is natural, that communicates your idea to the audience, and still might try to do something to cut through the static. And there's different ways to go about this. For Silverline, we, being an indie comic creator run by a comics, our editor-in-chief is a comics educator, so naturally having these shows and a website dedicated to teaching people, like, hey, if you want to make comics like we do and potentially get paid for it, here are, you know, these resources we can give to try and educate you on communication, on like resources and tools, on these different processes you can do. It just kind of makes sense, and that's something that's perhaps a little standout is being a open source educational tool on top of being a publisher. So for me personally, that comes down to also being a Twitch streamer and you know, a frequent memer. Just trying to you know, do stuff on Twitter, also in the Twitch space and on the meme space, that when somebody gets like, oh, hey, this guy also makes comics, I wonder if they're, you know, the tie over between the memes and the comics, not so much, but sometimes. But they'll like that, you get them in with the meme and they stay for the comic. The first hit's free. So what are some of your guys' thoughts on, you know, natural ways of making yourself maybe pop a little more than you know, to try and cut through the static, but not oversell it or constantly trying to go viral or do anything like that, or, you know, overdoing it?
Well, I know when I
go ahead, Quentin. Sorry.
When I picked up Forbidden, was it Forbidden Tales? First, I heard it from word of mouth from Stephen Butler, because he had done a cover, and I usually like to support my creator friends, you know, as much as I can. And he had done a cover for it, so I'd bought a couple of them that he had done some artwork for, and soon after that, the guy, the writer of it, had messaged me back and told me more about the stuff. So he actually, you know, got in touch with me to tell me about what he was doing, and I ended up buying the whole line. I haven't read them all yet, but yeah, I just got those in the mail, and they're awesome. So that, I'd say that's one thing, is actually interacting with people, especially people who buy from you. You know, it goes a long way to talk to people in person too. I know we were just talking about that. I don't want to rehash a subject we've already been over, but if you can get in a room with somebody and make eye contact with them, and why aren't you buying my book, man? You know, really throw the intimidation on it. But I mean, it really does help loads for people to get to know you. Put yourself out there, people to get to know you and what you're about, and they will feel a kinship with you if they find some point of reference that you're alike, or, you know, if they admire some part of you. And they'll get on the road that you're on, and they'll you know, I believe that they'll, you know, kind of go with you on it, because they feel a kinship there. You know, if you make yourself available to them. That's one huge thing I say, is being a personable, you know, being, you know, talking to people, you know.
Yeah.
So yelling at them like I'm speaking German is not the right move. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Depends on what you say.
Right. I think we've pinpointed my problem.
There you go.
Yeah, it's much easier to sell stuff in person than on the internet. For sure.
I love it if Jose, you just like memorize like one of your comic pitches, but in German. So like at randomly, you just say that at a convention.
as my name is on my table, right, in Spanish.
Yes, yeah.
People walking by speak German. He said, "My mother wears what?" I just usually comment people's shirts or get them over to the table, and then just threaten their life if they don't buy my comic. It's pretty simple,
Well, you can ask them all kinds of stuff like, hey, did you make any good pickups today? What do I mean, there's all kinds of little conversation starters, but that's how I think is one of the most effective ways is to get. But there's just so many voices out there, so much noise going on, and it's so hard to rise above the everything that's out there. But it is possible. But I think that relationship is important, making yourself available if you can.
Right. That reminds me that I went to PitCon in Pennsylvania. I think now it's called Three Rivers Con, but
and bio on them. I
an
like
author
that.
there.
Yeah.
I call it
There was
my
an author sign there
business
that,
card, but the trading cards. It'd be fun to have trading cards you
nice.
can trade with other friends. I'm sorry, Jose, I'm interrupting you
No,
again.
it's cool. But like this guy would do like a 30-second sketch of somebody that was walking by, and it's like, oh hey, like come here, I drew this for you, right? Like that's like it just came to mind. Like I hadn't even thought about that in like ever before until just now. But
Well, it
like,
depends on the sketch is any good or not. I mean, if the person's like holding the paper up and like turning it around and being like, "What is this?"
I mean, they're very simple, very cartoony, but I mean, it got people to his table, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, I know one thing that gets me away from somebody really quick is when somebody's overdoing it, and it's like they're selling me a car or something, and they're just talking way too fast. I don't dig that at all. Yeah, I mean, if somebody though is telling me about their book and they're just kind of chatting, folksy chat, be folksy.
Yep.
If some people, and I'm one of them, as soon as they start feeling like they're being had or being sold something, they are out. Like I know that's the way I am. I don't know why. I just, I guess I have to feel like people are interested in me.
Yeah.
Even though you're selling your stuff. I don't know. I guess it's,
Yeah. It's gotta be natural and you gotta be personal about it. I mean, I mentioned earlier how I talk like polyshortenings, man. So, but like for when I'm doing like my actual in-person like sales pitches or whatever, we're doing was it Honor and Blade? Something with Matt Cave for Sunday at the convention, and you got people walking by in cosplay, and so the occasional ninja or samurai is not uncommon. So we see someone walk by and just hear me. Hey, yo, dude, you like ninjas? Yeah, bro, get over here. Dude,
yeah.
check it out, dude.
Yep.
The weird absurdity of the way I talk sometimes will get people in there. In my day job, I was able to do a sale just because we were joking about snowboarding stuff and how I absolutely messed myself up once. Then unrelated to the product at all, but it's just that's the story that we find ourselves on and that they were laughing at, so that's what we went with.
Right. Evidently, I definitely need to work on my communication skills.
Speaking of communication, as you sit here all silently on a live stream,
content.
Well, anyway, Jose, I was wondering, Jose, and I was going to ask this. I thought somebody was fixing to say something, but are you going to be attending anything anytime soon that you know of, or?
Yeah, Sunday there is Southwest Florida Con, and I'm gonna be there, and then I have scheduled to be at Old Time Comic Show in August, and I am going to the Daytona Beach Comic Con in September.
I will also be at Daytona Beach.
Oh man, Tim is gonna polish short everywhere. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I'll be there in my short Muay Thai shorts, my Hawaiian shirt.
It'd be complete.
That is going to be a good time.
Yeah. If I'm not, if it's either going to be like some sort of weird like silky jogger like what I'm wearing now, or like Muay Thai shorts. I don't wear anything else.
And those tracksuit mafia.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
That's what I need to do. I need to buy some like tracksuit mafia clothes and go around calling everyone bro.
Yes. Yeah, they got the mafia so right in that show.
Oh, so great.
Yeah. Yeah. As a longtime fan of the Tracksuit Mafia and of Kate Bishop, I was very happy with that.
It reminds me, I just picked up Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop.
Nice.
I haven't read that yet.
Yeah, it's a fun time. Well, it is 1:35. I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of tapped on the subject now. So you can talk about communication tools and resources, actual software or, physical tools that we use. So we kind of mentioned earlier that we use an instant messenger, we use emails. We do have a Discord, but it doesn't get used too often. So personally, I like using Discord a lot. I use it for my streaming communities and all that.
Yeah, I don't know. I never could. He tried. I mean, he tried to get us all over, and then we just all basically went back to Facebook.
I'm going to be honest. The core team that's on Facebook Messenger is not necessarily the target demographic for Discord.
Yeah,
I can definitely see and understand that. Like I use Discord for for video chatting for gaming for home games, but using it for any other thing other than just a video chat is like beyond me at this moment. You know what I mean? I'm sure I could probably learn more after. I bet it's huge to you.
Yeah, I think as we develop like a younger audience, it'll probably get a little more traction because that's used for like sharing memes and like it's like a message board but more contained and with better moderation tools.
Yeah.
So I definitely see the room for growth there. But personally, I'm a fan of Discord. But I think a lot of the Silverline communication happens over Facebook Messenger, unless anyone is still hanging out on AIM like I am.
On what?
AIM.
Did you just say AIM?
Yeah.
Wow.
I still have an AOL email address.
Good for you. You're the OG.
Yeah.
I can't even say nothing but respect for that.
So what are some of your favorite communication tools or resources or anyone work exclusively via like Parcel or Carrier Pigeon?
I like Instant Messenger. Like I know it's basically the same thing as Facebook in regards to like how you can communicate message, but I actually like Instagram better than Facebook. Facebook, it's a lot moving and it gets flooded. Maybe because I don't have like a gajillion followers, but
sure.
It seems a little more chill for me. You know what I mean? So I actually like Instagram.
Yeah.
I just use Instant Messenger on Facebook. I don't know. I'm pretty simple.
Sure.
All these new moving flashing lights and whatnot.
Flashing lights and whatnot.
My hair is doing weird stuff, and I don't like it. I don't like how my hair. But yeah.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say anything, but I mean,
yes. Paul Talk, GeoCities. Oh man,
is MySpace still open?
I think it got relaunched. Like, well, it's been a thing.
Did it really?
It's still been a thing, but I believe they just kind of like rebranded their actual like social platform recently. Which
man, I need to go see if my MySpace is still there.
I don't know. Do still got top 5? Guess up with Tom my top 5.
Now that's called Meta. they took over Facebook. What can I call our stuff? Facebook then.
They lost me whenever they really started diving into music.
Which one?
MySpace.
Funny enough,
yeah.
That is actually how I was introduced and found Afua Richardson. And like I've said it on previous streams that she's the one that taught me how to digitally ink using Illustrator. Over AOL Instant Messenger, right? And I found her on there because of her music before I ever saw her art.
Huh.
So like I kind of have like a warm spot in my heart for MySpace not that I'll ever go back. Like that's
Yeah.
a whole lot more. That's
Yeah,
good work.
you should go back there.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
If it does relaunch and it gets good talks, I might just check it out. I'm on Liker a little bit, so because it's Liker, it's exactly what it is. Whatever you like, that's what it feeds you. Like you don't get too many weird algorithms sending you like the far end extreme things, like you do on Facebook. Where like, hey, you like cats once? Here's the super cat lovers like fantastic page.
Yeah.
Right?
But for me, like MySpace, that's when I first got into like HTML coding, was like creating custom MySpace backgrounds and all the music plugins and stuff. That was super fun.
Yeah,
I started doing that as well. Not too long after that, they really started going heavy into the music scene.
Mm-hmm.
I've just never been a real. I listen to so many different things, just however I'm feeling at the time.
Sure.
Right.
So that's just not a good platform for me. Anything music.
That's I think MySpace I discovered like Devil Wears Prada and like some other like bands that were smaller at the time in the metal community. Let's see there.
Yep. Like I said, MySpace was really big when I was on it. About maybe like Quentin said, it's music and whatnot. But like I knew a lot of punk bands, like local punk bands that used MySpace and were able to promote their music through that.
Yeah.
Because you could set up like different stereos and stuff on your page on your page of your MySpace and like play other people's like MP3s.
You didn't need to like pay the upfront cost of like burning like so many CDs of your mixtape or whatever. You could literally just like upload it there and then like talk to your friends like, hey, you should like put this somewhere in your like your playlist so you can get eyes on it. Yeah, that was exactly the move. I know some of us use Dropbox right now, but I don't use Dropbox often because my notifications keep on getting broken. The problems.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
Yep. First, but we do use Google Docs. So for like item storage or passing files back and forth, I know sometimes you can use Facebook Messenger for files depending on the file size, but with art that gets compressed and you lose some of the fidelity. Or the file may be too big. But what are some of your guys' preferred ways of passing files around?
Dropbox for me. That's usually what
I do. Email, Dropbox. A lot of times I can just get by with sending PNGs, and you can do those on just about anything.
Pete
Dropbox
uses
big stuff.
Pete uses a program or whatever called We File You or something like that. That when he sends me pages and whatnot, that's usually what he uses. I never heard it before until I got stuff from him.
Interesting. Okay.
But it's basically like Dropbox. I mean, they're very similar.
No, it's just the British version.
Probably.
Yeah.
So
the inferior version.
The inferior version.
You hear that? You hear that, Pete?
That's right.
Well, it's because it's not American, obviously. I mean, if it was American, anything that British use.
Shoot.
I know. So, if you allow me to go completely side segues,
sure,
in conversation. So, the new Batman movie coming out. I was looking at his. What do you guys think of his costume? I was looking at one part which I thought was kind of an ingenious solution to the cowl. And that is the fact, like they gave him a collar.
Yeah, they gave him like a gorget, like a medieval gorget, yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting. Instead of having like a full cowl go into the cape, they have the collar, so his neck. Yeah. So they kind of I'm like, well, that's kind of a cool way to kind of make that cowl, but you have two pieces to it.
The gorget was the middle collar you'd wear over your neck, so you can still move your helmet around, but if someone came at you, they wouldn't like stab you straight through the throat.
Right, you'd have to stab into the collar, which I thought was a really cool idea. It reminded me a little bit of Gotham by Gaslight. Where they actually gave him a collar and the cape had and I thought it's kind of interesting. I was looking at I know he wears like just your basic military boots, sort of in the costume. I kind of like the idea how the costume is like a hodgepodge of like high tech and then like cobbled together from like just boots and whatnot.
Yeah, it definitely looks like, it definitely looks kind of year 2 where he's figured out, okay, this is what I need to do in general, but I'm still trying to, I haven't perfected it. I'm sourcing the material as I go.
Right, which I thought was kind of an interesting idea, because usually a lot of the costumes in my favorite one that they made so far is probably the first costume in the Christopher Nolan series. Batman Begins.
Yes.
There was something about that, which, like that simple black. I thought that was really striking.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to see more of a, and I think it's interesting about it is, like, considering this guy is rich, this costume looks almost like this sort of homemade, like, work in progress, which I thought was kind of an interesting take on
I think it definitely has. It almost looks a bit more like brutal, or almost like he looks kind of like a human battle tank.
Yeah.
Which I think I will die on this hill on chat if I get it wrong. If I've got it wrong the entire time, you can come at me after the movie comes out. But I still kind of think that leads into the idea of him maybe being the Talon without knowing that he's the Talon. That he's essentially being used to kind of brutalize the undercity of Gotham, so that way the Court of Owls can do what they need to do without being
I
caught.
think they want to bring
that would be
the Court.
so awesome.
Yeah. I'd be curious to know if they make any. Of course, I think the movie starts Friday, but there's been people posting online that they've also seen early screenings of it or whatever.
Yeah.
I did hear the movie starts out with a pretty brutal sequence.
I'd imagine, yeah.
Yeah. But it was kind of funny. The more I looked at the Batman and his car, I was like, he's almost kind of like a Mad Max version of Batman.
Yeah.
I thought it was the same. It's a Charger, right? It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same
Charger,
car.
Yeah. The modified, which I thought was kind of interesting. I mean, because again, this guy's supposed to be wealthy, so he could make. But it seems like this is almost like a guy tinkering around in his garage.
Yeah.
With like power tools, building this stuff as he goes along, which I thought was.
Well, I think
such
like
a unique take on it.
I mean, year 2 is like really. I think that's supposed to be like before he like really appropriated like Wayne Enterprises to kind of do it. It's still very much like him as the standalone vigilante. So I think it's like he's wealthy, so you can buy a high end Charger, but like you don't want to draw attention to yourself buying armor plating. So you just kind of.
Did Frank Miller write year 2? Because I know he wrote year 1.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
We have the technology.
Yeah.
Right.
Batman year 2. That's a colon. That's a backslash. Batman year 2, written by Mike W. Barr. Mike Barr.
Is it an actual direct sequel to Frank Miller's book?
I don't know. That I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't
we did hear the part where I like Detective Comics.
Yeah.
But not because of Batman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super into Swamp Thing, Jose is.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it started off with seriously, like before New 52, but it started off because I thought there were better. It was a better detective story going through Detective Comics than Batman just being Batman everywhere else.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I thought it was more story driven, and that's why I liked it. And then New 52 brought in Clayface as one of his allies.
Your favorite character.
They've never done Clayface in the movies, have they? Have they ever done Clayface?
I don't think they have, which would be interesting. If they ever touched Hush, I feel like they need to do Clayface first, and that'd be a fun setup. But something who I think they needed to do in the movies that which we've got John Cena's Peacemaker, so I'm hopeful. The Question.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. And
that would be so awesome.
We still got Marvel doing Moon Knight, so I feel like they finally embraced like the kind of really weird meme characters. So if we got
Yeah, I'm really having high hopes for Moon Knight. Like I really hope that it's such a great character. You know what I mean? And please, Marvel. Please don't screw up.
That hodgepodge of DC movies, that trailer of DC movies, and they showed like Hawkman in one of the scenes.
It's got what's his name? Aldous somebody. He used to be in a show called Leverage. And he was I think he was in like Roots or Underground, one of those shows. But he's playing Hawkman, which I thought was interesting that they didn't go with like a white guy, a Caucasian guy. But I'm all for
he's supposed to be alien anyways. I think they're supposed to use him to planet Thanagar, so you could totally do whatever you want. I thought it was cool. And they showed Dr. Fate too in that trailer. So I'm like, and I couldn't figure out, like, are those characters the Black Adam movie or were they in? Is that all?
I think Dr. Fate. Well, Dr. Fate. I know that Hawkman is in Black Adam.
I
Like,
almost think
I know
Dr.
that
Fate would
they're.
be in the Flashpoint.
I would think too, but I feel that Dr. Fate is the one that like tries to get was it Teth Adam to do something good. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm curious. I mean, I will say that DC is coming into where Marvel's kind of coming into where they've kind of burned through their A-listers and now they're coming up
Yeah.
on the second tier. Marvel's in the D list categories because they've been around for a while. But because Doctor Fate and Hawkman are just down below the Justice League. But I mean, I thought the Shang-Chi movie was good, but he is not like the most popular character in Marvel. He's just even. I mean,
Right.
yeah. So
That is the best take on Fin Fang Foom, though.
yeah. So yeah, at the end of that movie, I'm cautious about Moon Knight. A lot of people said, "Is it Batman?" And I'm like,
no, most people.
it's the closest Marvel has to a Batman-looking character that jumps around on rooftops and whatnot. But no, he's not.
He is. Yeah, those people have been around forever. Moon Knight's just Marvel's Batman. Well, no, there's a lot more going on beyond.
Yeah.
It is weird.
Costume wise, maybe. I mean, the cape, the cowl, and everything. Yeah. The other person I would love to see them do. So now we'll turn into a Batman thing. So the other, besides Clayface, I would love to see them do Azrael. I think that would be really cool to put him in one of the movies. And as far as like Clayface, like you said, the question, Killer Croc would have been cool. They introduced him in Suicide Squad.
Yes, yeah.
But since they have, it'd be kind of cool to see him in one of the Batman movies because I thought he's such a unique character.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is even a possibility, but it'd be interesting to put Solomon Grundy in one of the movies.
They did Solomon Grundy for the TV series. Was it Gotham?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
it might be one of those. I'm not sure how that would
not
work.
good, Jose.
I wasn't a fan of how they went about it. I know that they kind of had to tweak it to fit into the storylines of Gotham, but like it was very, very obvious. Like to me, I was like, okay, this is exactly how he's coming in. They're gonna bring Solomon Grundy, I guarantee it. And then sure enough,
I think also
I called it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think also like this kind of the speech patterns and functionality of the character. You want to make sure that it doesn't go like Amazing Spider-Man. No, it's Amazing Spider-Man Electro. Electro in was No Way Home, fantastic. But before that, no.
So, just out of curiosity, is this new Batman supposed to be in the DC universe, or is it its own thing?
It's a separate universe. They're doing they're doing a Batverse, yeah.
Okay, that to me, and that's to me. I've heard rumors that they were going to do that with DC, and I was like, why not? I mean, because the Batman universe. This is why people always say, like, Batman vs Superman was so dark, and I'm like, well, yeah, because Batman's in it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, he exists at night.
Yeah,
that's his thing.
That's the way comics kind of like worked anyway. Because comics are like even in the same universe, wherever they exist in their own timeline until they don't. Like you can cross over, but still have the main line going on somewhere else. And you can be in the same universe, or they cannot. And we just kind of like, oh, it's comics. So I feel like for movies, the same thing. We kind of find like, oh, it's a Batman movie, and they'll be able to. The audience will be smart enough to differentiate between like a Batman movie and like a Superman movie, and then like when do they tie together, or are they just in their own homes at this point? It's fine.
Yeah, I think a Batman universe would work better because there's so many characters in that universe. That like I said, they tried a Batman vs Superman. It was just, I mean, if they tried to go complete Christopher Reeves in complete Batman, I just don't think it would have worked. He tried to make a middle ground where it was kind of dark, and I remember people saying, "Well, it's so dark." I'm like, "Well, yeah, because Batman's a dark dude." I don't know what to say about that. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of daylight battles in that movie. So yeah, I'm kind of glad they're doing it because I saw the trailer and I'm like, well, this doesn't kind of look like the other stuff they're doing with the other DC universe. I'm glad they're separating them. And then I heard rumors they're making a sequel to the Joker.
Yeah. I have no idea if he'll be.
I don't think he'll be in the movie. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think the newest version of Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, could?
I think he should stay on his own.
I think he should be on his own as well.
Yeah.
I personally love the way Joaquin Phoenix played him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that if they put him in with a Batman universe and whatnot, then it would diminish, the power that Joaquin Phoenix's Joker has personally.
Yeah, I think so too. So I don't know. I mean, anyway, I'm kind of like I said, every time when I remember Christopher Nolan's Batman came out, I'm like, I didn't really care about it because Batman Begins, like, yeah, I've already seen the Batman movies with all the, and then of course when I saw it, I was like, wow, this is totally different, which was interesting because he went full realism to a degree. I'm like, well, if this guy's really gonna do this, why would he have a cape and blah 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 and all of that, try to be more well thought out. This is almost a mix between realism and the comic book camp. Somebody actually had a friend who basically said, like, yeah, it's basically The Crow mixed with Batman, like the Crow movie. Yeah. So I just watched The Crow a few days ago again, and I was like,
I'm a huge Crow fan. Like, I love everything, like the books, and when they came out with the subsequent books, you know what I mean? And like, I love everything about The Crow. Like, I really do. And I disagree with that entirely. Like,
I don't think it's not a little. I think the darkness and stuff, but no, not I. It's funny. Did you ever read the Crow series? I'm sure you did if you're a band. It was one of my favorites. It's very short. It's like 2 issues. It was a Native American woman who lost her job, and she painted the crow on her face. Like that.
What it was
really cool.
She was a ranger. She was like a wilderness ranger, and so now, not to get it twisted, but there's actually a Native American one too. But anyway, she was actually pregnant and she died.
Yeah.
And she came back to avenge the death of her baby.
Yeah.
And she had the crow on her face. Then there was a Native American one that got killed during like the Battle of like Little Bighorn or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Something significant like that, right? And he came back like 200 years later to avenge on the descendants of the people that killed him.
Oh, that's
I think it was like killed him and killed his tribe.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's great. The artwork for that one to me was very much like 30 Days a Night.
Ooh. Yeah.
So I was like, I really love that one.
Nice.
Yeah. And I actually didn't mind the second Crow movie. I thought it was a little repetitive. I mean, again, there's only so much you could do with the storyline, but I did like the way they tied it more to the first movie.
Yeah.
I love the look of him when he had like the duster, like the trench coat and stuff. That guy just looked cool as a Crow. He visually is probably my favorite looking Crow out of the two, even though Brandon Leeds is iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel the reason why I like that one is because it dealt with a father avenging the death of his child.
Yeah.
So, like, as a father, when I was a young father when that came out, so I was like, oh man, this like speaks volumes to me.
Especially when she like put the paints, like his child paints on his face, like that. Because I was like, well, why would this guy paint himself like the original Crow? And it was like the girl from the first movie painting her up like Eric. I'm like, okay, well, this just completely makes sense. They really did a good job of tying in and why he would look the same. It was really well done.
And my favorite Crow is AEW professional wrestler Steen. And
that's right, because he does like the face paint stuff. Yeah.
Good old Sting-a-ling.
It is.
I can't even fault that.
Yeah. It is 10 o'clock on Tuesday night, which means that it is that time again. So we again remind you that coming up later this month is Wolf Hunter coming to Kickstarter. We have several appearances featuring Mr. Jose Fuentes coming up here as well. And we asked that timed out there for a second. We asked that you follow us on our socials so you can see the art and our updates and all that, and you can see some of the funny Destiny memes that I share on Twitter. We will be back next Tuesday at 8 p.m. East Pacific, but you can catch the Wednesday Night Wham tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern and Silver Sunday 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. We again, just hopefully we've been able to entertain you, and if you're a Silverline reader or viewer in Europe, again, we ask that you stay safe and take care of your family. Yes. We'll catch you next week. Until that time,
make mine
Silverline.
Silverline.
Hey, I'm Alex Saviuk, and I just want to let you know, make mine Silverline.